Deborah Farnsworth, and thank you for watching Documentary Now. For over 60 years, iguanas have claimed the Florida Keys home. Stories of these seemingly prehistoric reptiles have permeated almost every facet of daily life in the Keys. And while the notoriety of many iguanas dominates everyday life, the reputation of none looms as large as Cheeto, the legendary king of the iguanas. While some claim the tales of Cheeto are simply lore passed down through generations, others insist even today he continues to thrive and rule his domain. Follow our documentary team as they set out on both land and sea to discover the truth about this fabled creature in the search for Cheeto, legendary king of the iguanas.
Here in the Florida Keys, iguanas invoke either a love 'em or a hate 'em attitude. There's no in between. Those who love iguanas see them as an otherworldly symbol of their favorite vacation land, southern Florida. And they also recognize the iguana's unique marketing potential in selling things like hot sauce, apparel, beer, amphibious boats, and in some kind of a weird, twisted, circular logic kind of way, food for themselves. And on the other hand, there are those who like to see iguanas completely eradicated. But hold on, I know what you're thinking. The Keys already have lots of weird stuff around, like wild chickens rearing their young on restaurant floors and cluttering up shopping plazas. That's right. And there's certainly no shortage of feral Keys kitty cats living under buildings and looking for attention, mainly in the form of a piece of chicken. Well, it could be that some people don't like iguanas because they make lots and lots of crazy holes like this. They also eat your flowers and shrubs, and they're an invasive species, so they kind of mess up the natural order of things. But love 'em or hate 'em, the search for Cheeto, the legendary king of the iguanas, was officially on. Well, without any formal iguana hunting training per se, the team decided to enlist the help of a guy that we'd met a few weeks earlier, John. He's from Invasive in Vogue. He gave us his card. He's got a truck, big iguana on the side of it. I don't remember exactly what the guy was doing when we met him, but this guy knew everything about iguanas, where they hang out, what they eat, where you could find them. So that's our guy. So before calling him up and setting up a face-to-face meeting to just help, we decided to take a look at his website and see just exactly what his relationship was with iguanas. Oh, that's right. Now I remember what he was doing when we met him. But fearing for Cheeto's life, the team decided to start the search on their own. We were like, okay, no problem. How tough can it be to find an iguana? So we started doing stuff that we learned when we were kids. You flip something over and see if you can't surprise whatever's underneath it. So surprisingly, we couldn't find a specific iguana by flipping over 5-gallon bucket tops. So then I had another idea. I remember a cartoon about a coyote that was trying to catch a roadrunner.
Okay, I think we're ready for the apple slices.
Apple slices?
Yeah, we need bait.
I didn't bring any bait.
You didn't bring the bait. Go.
So without having any actual apple slices, we ended up using the second half of a Cliff Bar I happened to be eating for lunch.
Nothing. Dan, why didn't you bring the apple slices? We're not going to catch an iguana with a Cliff Bar.
Well, surprisingly, the snare trap didn't end up working. So in sheer desperation, we just started jumping around corners and magically hoping that maybe we could catch Cheeto sunning himself. But no iguanas. And after weeks of filming with still nothing to show, the team was becoming mentally and physically exhausted. But then, just as depression was starting to set in, Debbie had an idea.
Hey, let's go over the overseas for happy hour.
The Overseas Pub sits on the north side of Route 1 here in Marathon, the heart of the Florida Keys. Located midway between the Stuffed Pig Bakery and the Florida Keys Steak and Lobster, the aqua green exterior and prominent sign on the north side of the building make it an easy landmark for those traveling farther south on Route 1, America's original superhighway. So we walk into the pub and we immediately see some friends of ours from pickleball. And we tell them, hey, listen, we're searching for Cheeto. And out of the blue, he says, we just saw Cheeto this morning in a tree with a bunch of his hoochie mamas.
So we finished our drinks and we immediately left the bar. We didn't know what a hoochie mama was, but we knew this was a really big break.
So we went to the only place we trusted to find out what a hoochie mama actually was. The Marathon Public Library.
Horn dog, Hooters, hookah. Hoochie mama, here it is. A girl or lady that dresses trashy and reveals her body to the utmost. Tight and skimpy clothing. They use it in a sentence also.
Taylor Swift and Britney Spears dress like hoochie mamas. The pieces of the puzzle were finally starting to come together. So this new information, we decided we're going to kind of shift everything. Instead of searching for Cheeto by land, we were going to start searching for Cheeto by sea.
Yeah, it's fun being on the dinghy. You get to bring snacks, drink. You're out in the sun.
Oh, this was just like being on the Wizard of Oz, because everything we needed, we actually already had. All we needed to do was to find a bunch of sleazy, trampy-looking female iguanas. And if the legends were at all true, Cheeto was sure to be nearby. And sure enough, our change in strategy worked. Almost immediately, we started seeing iguanas in all the places you'd expect. Up in mangrove trees, prowling on people's docks, in gravel, walking along rocks. And then we started seeing them in places you wouldn't expect, like running into electrical substations. And we started seeing them in the water. And trust me, iguanas love water. These friggin' things can swim better than Michael Phelps. And we even saw them hanging out on the top of pilings. They were even lounging around on dock lines.
Literally a foot from him.
And probably the biggest slap in the face, they were even hanging out on people's boats.
That one's a little bit more skittish.
Run across the grass.
Then the team hit the jackpot. We found a group of the sleaziest, trampiest looking female iguanas I've seen in my life. But for some reason, Cheeto wasn't there. So now we're getting desperate. And so I went back to the couple that had previously given us the hoochie mama clue. And I went up to him and said, hey man, remember we talked, you told me you saw Cheeto? Can you still remember where you saw him? And he goes, in a gruff voice, goes, Dan, you passed him every single day on your way into the dinghy dock. I said, exactly where do I pass him? He goes to me, goes, Dan, are you a moron? He goes, he's in the mangroves on your right as you're going in. You pass within 10 feet of him every single day. Big orange iguana. And I'm like...
So when we heard that, we jumped in the dinghy, took off like a shot to the dinghy dock.
So when we finally got to the mangroves and the documentary team saw Cheeto, I don't think that we were prepared properly. It was a bit overwhelming. The team would spend the next 4 weeks shadowing Cheeto, filming his every move, living with and eventually becoming a member of his pride.
Cheeto, Cheeto. 75 millimeters.
Eventually, we even started collecting his stool samples so that we could measure them and then categorize everything.
137.
Yeah, looking back, in all honesty, I don't know why we did that. You know, to have that much power, but still have
Stay right there.
that much grace,
Holy
I
crap.
don't know how he does it. Don't even get me started with the head bob. I mean, that is so Cheeto.
That's him. The legendary Cheeto.
If I had to sum it up in one word, I'd have to say that Cheeto was timeless. He's timeless.